Hello, this is the Classical Republican, and I will be reading James Harrington's The Commonwealth of Oceana. The Commonwealth of Oceana. Tantalos a libris, sitiens fugientia captat flumina, qui drides mutato nomine de te fabula narratur. That's Horace. Dedicated to His Highness, the Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland, by James Harrington. Epistle to the Reader. Sir, if this writing be not acceptable, here is already enough and too much of it. But if it be, it is but a rough draft, for I have not been yet 2 years about it, nor ever saw all or half my papers together, and now in the bringing them to light, they have been dispersed into 3 presses here, where, because I could not be present at them all, I was present at none, but by which means the weakness of my performance hath been so strangely managed for the worse, that I am quite out of countenance at my work, which the ensuing errors mended will not be perfect, but not mended is not to be understood. Wherefore, let me entreat you, before you cast away the time in beginning, to read that you mend the faults according unto the ensuing corrections. Which done, I dare promise you that if I have not made you a good flight, I have sprung you the best quarry. For though the discourses be full of crudities, the model hath had perfect concoction. The introduction or order of the work. Oceana is saluted by the panegyrist after this manner: O the most blessed and fortunate of all countries, Oceana! How deservedly hath nature with the bounties of heaven and earth endowed thee! The ever fruitful womb, not closed with ice, nor dissolved by the raging star, where Ceres and Bacchus are perpetual twins. Thy woods are not the harbor of devouring beasts, nor thy continual verdure the ambush of serpents, but the food of innumerable herds and flocks, presenting thee, their shepherdess, with distended dogs or golden fleeces. The wings of thy night involve thee not in the horror of darkness, but have still some white feather, and thy day is that for which we esteem life the longest. But this essay of Pliny's, as is observed by Bertius, seemeth to allude as well unto Marpesia and Panopea, now provinces of this commonwealth, as unto Oceana herself. To speak of the people in each of these countries, this of Oceana, for so soft an one, is the most material in the whole world. Let states that aim at greatness, saith Verulamius, take heed how their nobility and gentlemen do multiply too fast. For that maketh the common subject grow to be a peasant and base swain, driven out of heart and in effect by a gentleman's laborer, even as you may see in Coppice woods. If you leave the staddles too thick, you shall never have clean underwood, but shrubs and bushes. So in countries, if the gentlemen be too many, the commons will be base. And if you will bring it to that not the 100th pole will be fit for an helmet, especially as to the infantry, which is the nerve of an army. And so there will be great population and little strength. This which I speak of hath been nowhere better seen than by comparing of Oceana and France, whereof Oceana, though far less in territory and population, hath been nevertheless an overmatch. In regard, the middle people of Oceana make good soldiers, which the peasants in France do not. in which words Verulamius, as Machiavel hath done before him, harps much about a string which he hath not perfectly tuned, and that is the balance of dominion or property, as it followeth more plainly in his praise of the profound and admirable device of Panurgus, king of Oceana, in making farms and houses of husbandry of a standard, that is maintained with such a proportion of land unto which as may breed a subject to live in convenient plenty and no servile condition, and to keep the plough in the hands of the owners and not mere hirelings. And thus indeed, saith he, you shall attain unto Virgil's character, which he gives of ancient Italy, terra potens armis, atque ubere glebe. But the tillage bringing up a good soldiery bringeth up a good commonwealth, which the author in the praise of Panurgus did not mind, nor Panurgus in deserving that praise, for where the owner of the plough comes to have the sword too, he will use it in defense of his own. Whence it hath happened that the people of Oceana, in proportion to their property, have been always free, and the genius of this nation hath ever had some resemblance with that of ancient Italy, which was wholly addicted unto commonwealths, and where Rome came to make the greatest account of her rustic tribes, and to call her consuls from the plough. For in the way of parliaments, which was the government of this realm, men of country lives have been still entrusted with the greatest affairs, and the people have constantly had an aversion from the ways of the court. Ambition, loving to be gay and to fawn, hath been a gallantry looked upon as having something of the livery, and husbandry, or the country way of life, though of a grosser spinning, as the best stuff of a commonwealth, according unto Aristotle, agricolarum democratica respublica optima, such an one being the most obstinate assertress of her liberty, and the least subject unto innovation or turbulency. Wherefore, till the foundations, as will be hereafter shown, were removed, this people was observed to be the least subject unto shakings and turbulency of any, whereas commonwealths, upon which the city life hath had the stronger influence, as Athens, have seldom or never been quiet, but at the best are found to have injured their own business by overdoing it. Whence the urban tribes of Rome, consisting of the turba forenses, libertines that had received their freedom by manumission, were of no reputation in comparison of the rustics. It is true that with Venice it may seem to be otherwise, in regard the gentlemen, for so are all such called as have right unto the government, are wholly addicted unto the city life. But then the turba forensis, the secretaries, cittadini, with the rest of the populacy, are wholly excluded. Otherwise a commonwealth consisting but of one city would doubtless be stormy, in regard that ambition would be every man's trade. But where it consisteth of a country, the plough in the hands of the owner findeth him a better calling, and produceth the most innocent and steady genius of a commonwealth, such as in that of Oceana. Marpesia, being the northern part of the same island, is the dry nurse of a populous and hardy people, but where the staddles have been formerly too thick, whence their courage answered not unto their hardiness, except in the nobility, who governed that country, much after the manner of Poland, save that the king was not elective. till the people receive their liberty, the yoke of the nobility being broken by the commonwealth of Oceana, which in grateful return is thereby provided with an inexhaustible magazine of auxiliaries. Panopea, the soft mother of a slothful and pusillanimous people, is a neighbor island, anciently subjected by the arms of Oceana, since almost depopulated for shaking the yoke, and at length replanted with a new race, but through what virtues of the soil, or vice of the air soever it be, they come still to degenerate. Wherefore, seeing it is neither likely to yield men fit for arms, nor necessary it should, it had been the interest of Oceana so to have disposed of this province, being both rich in the nature of the soil and full of commodious ports for trade, that it might have been ordered for the best in relation unto her purse, which, in my opinion, if it had been thought upon in time, might have been best done by planting it with Jews, allowing them their own rights and laws, for that would have brought them suddenly from all parts of the world and in sufficient numbers, and though the Jews be not altogether for merchandise, yet in the land of Canaan, since their exile from whence they have not been landlords, they were altogether for agriculture, and there is no cause why a man should doubt but, having a fruitful country and good ports too, they would be good at both. Panopea, well peopled, would be worth a matter of 4 millions dry rents. That is besides the advantage of the agriculture and trade, which with a nation of that industry comes at least unto as much more. Wherefore Panopea, being farmed out unto the Jews and their heirs forever, for the pay of a provincial army to protect them during the term of 7 years, and for 2 millions annual revenue from that time forward, besides the customs which would pay the provincial army, would have been a bargain of such advantage both unto them and this commonwealth, as is not to be found otherwise by either. To receive the Jews after any other manner into the commonwealth were to maim it, for they of all nations never incorporate, but, taking up the room of a limb, are of no use or office unto the body, while they suck the nourishment which would sustain a natural and useful member. If Panopea had been so disposed of, that knapsack with the Marpesian auxiliary had been an inestimable treasure. The situation of these countries being islands, as appears by Venice how advantageous such an one is to the like government, seemeth to have been designed by God for a commonwealth, and yet that through the straitness of the place and defect of proper arms can be no more than a commonwealth for preservation, whereas this, reduced unto the like government, is a commonwealth for increase, and upon the mightiest foundation that any hath been laid from the beginning of the world unto this day. Illam arcta capiens Neptunus compede stringit, hanc autem glaucis captus complectitur ulnis. The sea giveth law unto the growth of Venice, but the growth of Oceana giveth law unto the sea. These countries, having been anciently distinct and hostile kingdoms, came by Morpheus the Marpesian, who succeeded by hereditary right into the crown of Oceana, not only to be joined under one head, but to be cast, as it were by a charm, into the profound sleep which, broken at the length by the trumpet of civil war, hath produced those effects that have given the occasion unto the ensuing discourse, divided into 4 parts. 1. Preliminary, showing the principles of government. 2. The Council of Legislators, showing the art of making a commonwealth. 3. The model of the Commonwealth of Oceana, showing the effect of such art. 4. The corollary, showing some consequences of such a government.